Well, heyo everyone, I'm your friend Art of Mana, and welcome to the State of the Mana video. And it's been a while since I've checked in with you this way, and I've got a lot to share. And furthermore, this has been a really tough video to record. I've tried a few times, I can't seem to get the right words or remember everything that I want to say, and the more I record, the more new things I want to share. So if you're seeing this, this is obviously the take I went with, and I could have just not mentioned any of that. But sharing it does show you my sometimes crippling perfectionism. Actually, I was recently rereading one of my absolute favorite stories in the English language, Leaf by Niggle by Tolkien, and the main character is an artist whose work is never finished by his own hands. He fiddles with his work to get it just right, and there's so much I could say about the story because for me it emphasizes the importance of working diligently at the things that you feel truly called toward and being able to grow beyond your blind spots. It's just such an important story to me, and I hope me sharing this kind of brings to mind how much energy and effort I've put into this hobby turned semi job on the side, even if I have a lot of loose ends and imperfections. I'm hoping that the good shines through nonetheless. Anyway, let's actually talk about what I'm doing and I guess what I've done. So let's start with some stats and then talk about some changes, and then I want to talk about my goals for the future. So to start, thank you. Thank you so much for your continued support in following and coming to my streams on Twitch and liking and retweeting my tweets and sharing your wealth with me on Patreon through your patronage and on Twitch through subscriptions and bits. And all of that, I truly appreciate. Some of you have been subscribed to me for the entire 17 months I've been a Twitch affiliate. Some of you have been a patron for the 26 months since I've launched a Patreon campaign. Some of you purchased things through my affiliate link for Humble Bundle. Some of you are among the first 50 friends of Mana when I started nearly 3 years ago. Some of you just met me today, so hello. And as some of you talk daily on Discord with everyone, some of you only DM me, and honestly, wherever you fall in all of that, thank you. Thank you so much. We're on our way to 1,100 Friends of Mana. I've live streamed over 340 times. I've recorded some videos. I've met and collaborated with many streamers. I've met a handful of Friends of Mana in person. I've been able to talk and pray for countless people who are discouraged or suffering. I've had a chance to play on stream well over 50 different games. And because some of you might be curious, I'm currently making about 150 bucks a month. And that's through all the different ways that I monetize what I do. So to be fair, that basically covers the cost of things like my domain name, subscriptions like Twitch Prime and Turbo, Discord Nitro, the Nintendo Switch Online, my internet, and so on. And I'm roughly close to paying the bills that pertain to what I'm doing. However, I have been fortunate enough to upgrade many pieces of my setup. My laptop, for example, I'm now able to stream in 1080p with a good face cam, some nice effects. Everything's running smoothly, and I'm streaming for 4 days a week now, so what? And over the last 3 years, I've tried many things, and I want to be clear here, I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert on streaming or most of the things that I do through Art of Mana, and I've tried things that I love doing and that are well received, and I've tried things that I'm not really loving, but were well received. And I've also done both things I've loved and hated that just people didn't like. So, we let those things slide. And it all kind of ends up looking like a big experiment. And hopefully it's all leading towards my original hopes and vision for the channel. And for those of you who've been with me a long time, I hope it shows that I've never been totally stagnant and I'm always trying to improve. And I hope you do see marked improvement. But of course, as I continue to grow, I have to accept that certain things are going to go away and change. So let's talk about some of those changes. First of all, just let me give you a little history. I started streaming Minecraft once a week as it was a game that I was enjoying at the time, and I saw streamed and I could stream. And I met so many wonderful people through Minecraft. Eventually, I ended up launching Patreon even through my Minecraft connections as a way to grow my ability to stream, which it did, by the way, and to provide a Minecraft server to the community. And we actually ended up having a few, but Mana U is something I'm particularly proud of, despite looking back and seeing the some of the struggles that came out of trying to learn how to run a community Minecraft server, and the shortcomings that I had and the server had. Nevertheless, I worked with a lot of people who gave their time and talent towards that project, and it was played by many people who built incredible things. And sadly, now it's time to say goodbye. I'd hoped to do something special, but with death in the family, sickness on my part, the need for my server host to change servers, it just all meant that time and my desire didn't match up. So instead, it's actually closed now. And I reached out to the players who were most active, and we remember it fondly. There were tons of great memories and builds around every corner, but sadly, we all kind of recognized it's time to move on. I'd moved on to other games and the community along with me, and the few that still played were reaching the limit of their builds, and updates to Minecraft were breaking the world. New subs and patrons weren't interested in the server as much as they were interested in seeing all of my new ideas that I want to explore take fruition. And I'm proud of Mana U, and I learned a lot through it, and it's sad to see it go, but it's not really gone. It's cliche, but the memories remain. And as of you viewing this, I've actually done something kind of cool. I've provided a download link for all of you who want to get it, play it, and see what was built on it from your very own perspective in game. And it's free for all of you. Just go to my website and you can download it. And I hope you'll have fun reliving some of the memories or seeing the world for the very first time. But that's not the only initiative going away. There's also Splat with Friends, my collaborative Splatoon 2 Discord that was set up as really an experiment with a more collaborative effort, and it never really met its potential. We quickly realized that the limited focus of the server wasn't quite going to get us to our end goal, and none of the agents that were part of it were exclusively Splatoon 2 streamers, so instead we began working on our latest initiative, which is Selecting Start. And taking what we learned from Splat with Friends, we built this collaborative channel with a broader focus that would allow us to showcase many wonderful streamers. And that's been a goal of mine since the beginning. I've always wanted to figure out ways to highlight more great streamers and spread family-friendly content on Twitch. So things like the Mana Summer Share, if some of you remember that, and Splat with Friends were steps in that direction. And now I'm excited to pursue Selecting Start. It really launched well, and everyone from Splat with Friends and more are streaming on that channel, and I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing all the great things come out of it. I'm watching it all the time. And the idea is that it's this one-stop channel where you can tune in daily, know you're getting quality, family-friendly, Nintendo-related streams from a broad range of great streamers. And you can watch and host it with confidence that the content's going to be fun and appropriate for everyone, and maybe someday the channel's going to even be 24/7. So right now, I'm actually streaming once a week on Selecting Start and 3 times a week at 3 different time slots on Art of Mana. So that's 4 different ways. It's crazy. Anyway. But you've also probably noticed some other things going on in the background. I'm updating my overlay, different overlay elements. I'm just continuing to polish and, trying to get the look of my streams to be better, better graphics. And I'm also streamlining things like my OBS settings, making it all work a little bit better, a little more easily for me. And I'm going to be bringing some of the graphics updates to my website, and there's just kind of this slow trickle of things. I'm trying to add new blogs. I have new hardware coming in that I plan on reviewing for streamers, but I'm going to do a video on that, but it's actually really meant to be something that's going to allow my retro streams to look even better and what I really hope it will look like in the future. That's going to be coming in next month, and I'm also working on my bot, which leads me to something a little embarrassing. I'm gonna admit I'm really bad at perks. I'm really bad at it. Part of it's my perfectionism, lack of time, or the way I prioritize my time. For better or for worse, I'm bad at it. And I do, at this time, need to cancel my patron and sub perks and also the Manamon store. So I realized that the most important, most popular purchase was for a game for me to play, and that ended up being kind of like this collab perk. And it was pretty easy for people to get enough Manamons to request it, and soon the lineup was growing. I had less and less time I could schedule and play the games I intended to play, and I ended up working around this other list of games. And then song requests, too, became difficult because I was basically working on this room that was my recording area in order to get it into this studio, and then I was getting sick and I just didn't sit down and do the song recording. So currently my lineup of perks is basically pretty limited, and I don't want to renege on any things that I've offered So I am going to look at that queue and work my way through it, but it's stopped now and the store's down. And Manamethists, which has always been a really difficult word for people to say, myself included, that's going away. I'm going to turn the in-game currency back into Manamons. I know that's the same as what is this other currency with the store, but while I'm closing that and reconfiguring all that, I'm just going to simplify it and just there's going to be Manamons and fun things you can do with the bot. And eventually I'll be working on the bot, but it's a priority for later, something I'm going to set aside. But now for all the new visions and goals. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I do have a lot of reviews, new games I want to showcase, and lots of things, but it is hard to take risks on Twitch. You know, as supportive as everyone is, numbers do tend to plummet when I don't play things people know well and love. And I think where my heart is that I want to expose more of this broad range of gaming and my passion for gaming history and like the efforts of the industry and its fans. And while gaming is this common ground that I connect to people on, I really want to foster this family-friendly and uplifting corner of the internet that's rooted in values such as the inherent dignity of all people. So I've changed my Patreon page to reflect this. And if you're interested in the best bang for your buck to support me, it still is Patreon. But why do I mention that? Well, here's the big change, everyone. Okay, so we're moving. The Mana family's moving, and we didn't expect to. But in thinking about our grandparents who've died in the last few years, we recall growing up with them and just the big impact and role they played in our lives. And so for baby Mana, we want her to grow up next to her grandparents. And thankfully, both Ms. Mana and my parents are in the same hometown where we'll be moving. And you know, we've been working hard with the family to prepare for a move this summer. So we're getting our house ready for sale, and that explains, you know, I keep talking about this work that's being done on our attic. There are all these other projects that we're doing or that we're hiring people to do, and we're busy packing and purging and giving our best to our jobs in this last year. Like we've given our year notice to our bosses, and you know, our bosses and coworkers are sad, but also happy for us. So we're trying to make sure we leave everything as best we can. And sadly, we are leaving behind like great things like our fantastic home and church community and friends. And this decision, you know, it was a lot of discernment that went into it. It also happened right as I was wrapping up work on this sort of like ideal Twitch and video recording studio, music recording studio. Like this room was set aside for it, and we were kind of wrapping up, and we had this one last thing, and then it was like, hey, we're gonna move, and now that's become this staging area. So yeah, all this is going to bring all sorts of struggles in this upcoming year. You know, I'm going to have to probably take time off at times. I'm not going to be able to pursue so many ideas, and I'm prioritizing right now streams because I feel like that's the core of what I do. And it's when we get to talk and I get to update you on things. And now that this is all official and I can share it with you, I'm really excited to talk to you about it on stream. And I actually, yeah, I actually have some maybe more exciting news because after this hectic year and everything, there comes the possibility that I might be able to take the time. In fact, it looks very likely that at the start of our new home, I'll be able to try to see if I can make streaming a full-time or at least a part-time job. Um, you know, I'd be able to stream on a more regular basis and devote more time to Art of Mana. And my hope is that with all this extra time, I'll be able to build toward my bigger vision and hopefully it will be sustainable. But of course, I can only do that by continuing to try to do the best I can and by improving based on your feedback and with your help. So I hope you'll continue to be a part of my life during this time of transition. And especially as I push to make this aspect of my life that I'm so passionate about a bigger part of my future. You know, I was recently watching the documentary on Mr. Rogers called Won't You Be My Neighbor, and I absolutely loved it. And though I've always been a fan of the show, with this documentary and like the recent Twitch marathon and a new biography coming out and all of this, I've just found myself really learning a lot more about this man. And something that resonated with me was how he was immediately enthralled and dismayed by the new medium of television. You know, ultimately, he thought it had the potential to be a medium for real relationship and to pass on something that was true and good and helpful to people, especially children, as we navigate the many, sometimes difficult changes of life. And yet he would see, these things that were just like pies in the face as children's shows. He was a man of conviction, desiring the best and seeing the best in everyone. And I feel like that really hit home because it's similar to how I look at Twitch. I think it has such potential as a medium to form real relationships, and I think it can impact people's lives in an important way. And I think it can do something meaningful, and I can do something positive on Twitch. And I think there are people who are insightful and wise and who use Twitch in these ways and are seeking, there are people seeking authentic community. And so having an example of something meaningful and positive is important. But the problem is, I see there's so much toxicity and junk on the platform. And that's why when I started, I really had these high standards, and I hope I've kept them throughout. And I think Twitch has the potential to be a way for me to share a positive and inspired view of the world and share the passion and that I have for gaming and this hobby, and connect and journey with people and put together, shows that are a little bit more creative and researched. And I don't know how big a role this is going to play in my life. Maybe my family can make a living with me doing it, or maybe it'll just end up being hobby territory, at least for the time being. But I'm always going to treasure Twitch, and it's going to be a part of my life, and you're going to be a part of my life for many years to come. I aim to be even more open as I'm going forward, and I want to reveal more of myself. And like one small thing is I've added to my Discord a channel where you can ask me and others for prayers. And I believe in the power of prayer, and I won't force you to. But if you have something you're going through, feel free to share it. Know I'll hold you in prayer. And with all of this that I've shared with you, I would ask that if any of you do pray, please keep me in yours throughout this year of transition. So anyway, I think that's about it. This might be the take. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me as I talk about all of this. And I'm sure you have questions, so feel free to ask me in, all the things, Discord, Twitter, or in my streams. And as always, do good and be well. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.